Hello, welcome to Toast Time. This is week 42. 42. I can't believe we've gotten this far. This week, I'm going to be making ciabatta flatbread, which I'm doing a copycat recipe from one of the restaurants that I loved growing up called Così. And you'll see it's unique and it tastes amazing. I've only made this recipe once before, and that was because it was in the kind of beginnings of my bread experience, and it seemed like a lot of work. I'm hoping now that I've done sourdough and a bunch of different types of breads that it's not going to seem so daunting, but I guess we'll see. All right, first I have some warm water, not hot, because I'm going to put the yeast in. Yeast. And let this sit for a couple of minutes and put in a pinch of sugar. Just a little bit. We don't want it to grow too much, but we want to give it something to eat. All right. Then I have flour, salt. Now the salt in the recipe is separated because some of it goes on top before baking and some of it goes in. So this is the larger amount that will be going in. And later we will have some melted butter. This is already getting foamy, which means that it's alive and ready to eat. So I don't have to wait anymore. I'm going to take some olive oil and put it right in there. And I will take a wooden spoon, mix this up a little bit. That salt in there, so we're not dumping the yeast directly on top of the salt. Give this a little swirl and pour it in. And usually once I get to this point, I like to give it another little swirl and try to get anything that's hiding along the sides. Bring that down. All right. Then I just take this and mix it up. We're not doing any kneading yet. This does have a few steps. It's mixed together. It does seem a little bit wet right now, but we're going to give the flour a chance to hydrate, which means it'll soak up some of that liquid that we put in there, that water, and it will probably not be as sticky in an hour and a half, which is how long we have to let this sit now. All right, I'm gonna scrape this off. All right. Okay. I'm gonna take shower cap, put it over the top. If you don't know, I like shower caps because they're reusable. They already have the elastic there and they're cheap. So if you do have to throw one away because it gets overly doughy, then it's okay. But I use these for months and months and months. All right, I'll see you soon. Wow, time flies when you get to edit. All right. It has been sitting and you can see it's grown quite a bit, gotten nice and puffy, a lot of air in it. All right, and it has hydrated more. I'm going to put it into the bowl of my mixer. I'm going to use my scraper because it is very sticky. At this point, we may add some more flour if it's too sticky to be handled. All right. Right now, I'm going to put this on the mixer with the dough hook for about 5 minutes or so. In 2 minutes, I'll check it to see the consistency and the texture of it, and we'll go from there. All right, I did end up adding about 3 more tablespoons of flour to this, and this is where we are now. It's still a little bit sticky. That's all right. I'm going to put it back into this glass bowl. Cover it up again and let it sit for another hour and a half. All right, we're to the shaping stage now. It's very cold here. I'm in New York and we're in the high 40s today. My metal pan was very, very cold from the cupboard. I put some hot water in the top part of it here so it would warm up the base, and then I just dumped it out and dried it so it's not going to shock the dough, hopefully. Let's see here. Okay, this, yes, it is upside down. Upside down. I'm going to put oil, olive oil, and I wouldn't cheat with a spray for this. I would do the real deal because this is kind of the base of the bread. It's going to help make it nice and crispy. It's just an important part. Rub that all over. And if you have to use the heating up the pan trick, make sure you get all of the water off of the back, or the bottom, I guess, of it. Because you don't want to be mixing the water and oil. Okay. All the way out to the edges, even a little bit over. Put that to the side here. It might come in handy to have some of this oil on me. I'm going to take a little bit of flour and put it on my counter. And take out, ooh, it's nice and fluffy. A lot of air pockets in there. Has good webbing from the yeast growing. This webbing here. Nice. Cool. Okay, I'm going to put this onto the floured surface. It is a bit sticky, which is okay. I'm still going to have the flour here, and I have extra flour right there, so I can put it on there. And we just want to kind of knead this a few times. So we are knocking out the air. The kneading technique I'm doing is the drier dough, not the wet dough technique, which is if it's in front of you, take it, fold it in half towards you, and then kind of grab that and push it away from you. And then you're going to turn it 90 degrees, grab the end that's away from you, pull it towards you, and push. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just doing it a bit faster. There, fold, push, fold, push, fold, push. Okay. Now, nice, very nice, supple dough. Has good elasticity to it. I'm going to spread out the flour that I have here. Take my bench scraper, cut it in half. Doesn't have to be exact. You can use a scale if you prefer. I'm eyeballing it. Okay, make sure this is all coated in flour. Set it aside. Grab this one. Make sure it's all coated in flour. And we are going to roll this out. 12 by 3 is what we're aiming for here. And going to start rolling it out. When we roll, we put it in the middle and push out. Don't think down when you're rolling out. You want to just think out. In the middle, start in the middle again, and out. Middle, out, middle, and out. This is probably going to take a little bit of resting time before it'll hold its length that I'm trying to get it to, because I did handle it. Take this one, get it started. Sticking a little bit to the rolling pin. But a wet dough is going to give us a lot of air bubbles inside, as long as we don't overprove it, which is what we want, nice Nice bubbly inside. Letting the gluten relax a little bit. Go. I'll let it rest for a minute, and then I will do the final rolling out. All right, that is all set now. Bring this over here. And all we're going to do is place these on the baking sheet. If you can, try to get kind of a square end on it. All right, now we are going to let this rest for 2.5 hours, uncovered. Very, very, very important, uncovered. We want these to dry out a bit. We want the top to become crusty and hardened, and that's part of the amazingness of this bread. That's it for now. I'm going to leave this here and come back in about 2.5 hours. These have done their time of resting. They're nice and crusty on the top. It's created kind of like a skin, a layer on it. And now we get to do the fun part of poking through that. So we want to break it apart and pull it a little longer, which will help break it apart. So I'm just going to do that with my fingers on both of these. Okay, and then shape it longer and thinner and pulling it apart so you get this crackling effect. You want that, that skin to kind of break apart. Okay. I have the oven preheated to 475 with the baking stone in it. I melted the butter. I'm going to brush it on top. And then sprinkle it with the remaining salt. It's kosher salt, so it has a thicker texture to it. Okay. This one, you're not going to use all of the butter in this step because you want to have some of it for when it comes out. You'll brush a little bit more on. Okay. All right. That. And the salt. Getting really excited for this now. That's that. I'm going to put this into the oven and then we can do our taste test when it comes out. It was a total of 14 minutes in the oven. You're supposed to start it at the bottom for 7 minutes and then move it to the middle rack for about 5. I had to go a little bit longer because it wasn't browning on the top like I wanted it to. But there it is. It's so pretty. Has that crackle that we wanted and we waited so long for. And I'm going to cut a piece of it off. It's still warm right now. But, oh man, oh, I'm so excited. See all the bubbles in there. All right. When you get this sandwich, it's usually cut like this. Just like that. You open it up, and my favorite is tomatoes, mozzarella, or mozzarella, and basil, the TBM, and you can add the chicken. So good. And it's balsamic sauce. It's great. Okay, now let's try the bread. All right. I also brushed butter on it when it came out, but carefully because it has the salt that was on there. I kind of more tapped it on than really brushed it. All right. It's perfect. It's so good. The exterior has a little bit of crisp to it, but it kind of just melts down into the center where it's light and airy. This is great by itself and amazing with toppings on it. The flavor of the bread itself is wonderful. You have to give it a try if you're wanting to take the time for it, because it's amazing. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful week, and I will see you next toast time.